What's up, people? Welcome to this special edition of Morton's Law Podcast, here with this exclusive hit on YouTube. Thanks for checking it out. Also, if you haven't already done so, please go check out my latest episode of Morton's Law Podcast on all major platforms. It is entitled From the White House to the Nut House, where Donald Trump reenacts and recites classic movie lines. I hope you guys can check that out and enjoy it. Also, don't forget to follow me on Twitter at Mortons_law and also on Instagram at Morton's Law Podcast. So I wanted to get into this AEW Dynamite show from Friday night. Obviously, they're going to be on Friday night for quite a bit while the NBA playoffs go on. And let's get into this show review. So the show starts with the Young Bucks against Penta and Pac. And, a typical Bucks spot fest, if you will. I mean, let's be fair, not much psychology. Hit every move known to man. That's what they do. A lot of kickouts on two. I mean, it's tough to follow. It really is when you're on the card and you go, oh, well, the opening match did every move there is in the business, so what do we do? It's just, it's just not a good thing to follow. That's why guys are told in certain situations, especially back in the day, you're like, okay, don't do this, don't do that, because we're going to do that later. When the Bucks come out and do every move, you're like, oh, what do we do now? So that's just how the business is, or at least their matches. So then we get Penta, and this is more to the issue that I'm talking about. He does a package pile driver on the apron, the hardest part of the ring, and we don't get a pin out of that. So that's just, again, what move beats anyone? It's just hard. I mean, it's just like, what are we watching? Let's just kick out of everything and nothing matters. And I know I say that ad nauseum, but it's every week with this show. Now, the only good thing here I'll say, because I'm fair, I don't dump on AEW just to do it. When they do something good, I'll tell you about it. I've been talking on this show the last couple of weeks, especially on my radio version or whatever, podcast version, and I say this, when the Young Bucks are heels, they have to win as heels. They have to use, like the spray can didn't always beat somebody. Now this week, you get Cutler hitting Pac with the camera, and then they rolled him up and got the pin. Bravo, that's the way it should be done. You shouldn't have to hit a V-trigger after that to get a pin. Well done, I applaud that. I mean, joking around, are they listening to me? I know they're not, but it would be nice if they were. And you don't need a finisher when you're using a foreign object. It is not necessary. Now, my thought is, going forward, if you want to continue to expand on this heel persona with the victories, the Bucks at some point could roll up with the tights. They could grab the top rope. There's multiple ways to win a match as heels without having to use your babyface finisher, if you will. I know it's a different finisher with the V-trigger, but still, you don't need it. So up next, I'm not reviewing this whole show, by the way, whatever stood out to me. Up next, you get Mark Henry in the ring, interviewed by Tony Schiavone. Henry decided to eat shit. I'm sorry, no, I'm joking. That was 25 years ago. But if you remember that story, if you haven't heard of the story, go look it up. A lot of fun. All right, up next, Vicky Guerrero comes out, and to everyone's surprise, now I don't know if anyone knew this was happening, out comes Andrade, and now he has a new name, of course, Andrade El Idolo, if I'm saying that correctly, or better known to a lot of people as Mr. Charlotte Flair. Now, I don't know, look, TNT has said on record they don't want any more surprises. Apparently they want people to know so there's more ratings versus, hey, did you hear about this guy? Well, no one told me in advance, so I didn't watch. I kind of get that. It is what it is. Now, again, he's there, and he's supposed to be a big deal, but so is everyone else that walks through the door, right? When you have 150 people on your roster and 2 singles titles, what really can you do with everybody? So, I don't hold my breath on how he's going to be booked. I'm sure he'll come out, like I always joke about with battle royals in general, guys come out on fire and then all of a sudden they get stopped. And that's what happens with a push sometimes. Guy comes out, looks good, and then gets stopped. So, it is what it is with that. Like I said, 2 singles titles, and oh yeah, the FTW title, which, of course, they have, but I don't think they remember about it. So up next, we get this tag title match. Excuse me, just tag match. Pardon me, no title involved here. We get Paul Revere, a.k.a. Cody, and Shoddy against QT and Anthony Wake Me Up Before You A Go-Go. And look, I didn't care about this match at all. I didn't. But of course, you know how I think about how's the finish going to go down. And listen, they beat Cody here, albeit not completely clean. You get a distraction, a Go-Go knocks him out, all right? But you know my deal here with tag matches. You can beat a top-level guy in a tag match, and it doesn't matter. He's not losing any heat losing a tag match. In fact, you could say the same thing about Jon Moxley at Double or Nothing. He got beat by the Bucks. I mean, they actually had to use 25 V-triggers to beat him, so that made him look stronger. But yeah, it doesn't matter. So my thought is this. If you're going to do this kind of finish with a Go-Go distracting or whatever, whoever distracted, and then a Go-Go gets the win, why couldn't you have done a similar finish at Double or Nothing to give a Go-Go the win? So you're not beating Cody clean, but you give a Go-Go the victory. So again, this is typical AEW booking, doesn't make much sense. But, I mean, again, well, it is. So coming up next, you get the Inner Circle to celebrate their victory of the Stadium Stampede. Is it me or does Sammy come off as a little uncomfortable on the mic? I think he has to relax a little bit more. His story about his mom and jumping off the roof was kind of like, okay, where are we going with this? So Santana gets on the mic and says FTR tried to end their careers. So let me get this straight. They take 2 spike pile drivers outside on that go-home show, right? On that go-home show, but somehow they recovered just 2 days later to still work this pay-per-view. So, I mean, it's just an AEW theme, basically. It's like, take every move and sell nothing. It's, yeah, whatever. So then we get Jake Hager on the mic. And if you follow the show, you know I also do MMA. And my biggest pet peeve in pro wrestling is when guys do MMA. Unless one of the 2 guys has worked MMA before, which we know Jake Hager is legitimately undefeated in a cage. Now, the problem with this here is he challenges a non-MMA fighter. Listen, if Wardlow has trained MMA, okay, but he's never been in a cage, so this is stupid. I mean, it comes across as fake because Hager's legit. Now you're going to put him in there with a non-MMA fighter, and it's insulting to MMA fans knowing that if these 2 actually fought in a cage, Hager would win in about 2 minutes. So it just makes it look stupid to me anyway. And also, now you know they're going to work an MMA fight. This is not going to be legit. Nothing will be legit, which, you know, brings people back. If you ever heard of Pancrase, you know, people say some of that was worked. But yeah, it is what it is. I mean, like, if these 2 fought in a cage, Hager wins in 2 minutes. Let's be fair. So again, that's why nobody takes this seriously. It's just stupid. And now apparently we learn this feud is not over. It's going to continue. Jericho gets on the mic, says the same thing about MJF and trying to end his career. But then we get Jericho, who also fell off a cage and didn't take any time off. I mean, it's just, you know, think about that for a second. Guys get pile driven. Guys go through off cages. No time off. Conversely, where was the Pinnacle on the show? Pinnacle nowhere to be found. What happened to them in that match that would say, okay, they need a week off? No, again, it's this company. Very little makes sense. Next up, we get Britt Baker celebrating her title win. And then we get a bunch of hamburgers in a segment that just was an epic flop. This didn't make any sense. It was stupid. Nyla Rose in the back. She decides to flip everything over and just waste of time, just worthless. Who cares? Next up, we get, listen, talk about wins and losses in this company mattering, right? Somehow, and again, this has happened many times in this company, somehow Evil Uno, who I don't know when he's worked a singles match, is now getting a TNT title shot against Miro. Now, he may be 10-0 on YouTube, I don't know, but again, who cares? Stupid. All right, so now we get this bull rope match in the title. Excuse me, I keep saying title in the main event. Dustin 13-1 in this match. This was a good brawl. Camarado busted open. They go back and forth. It was a lot of fun, this match. And then the finish. Dustin, supposed babyface, low blows Camarado, eventually wins the match. So the way it seems, now I know Go-Go, they won the tag, albeit not completely clean. This group, which came out on fire, is now somewhat on life support. Now listen, you know, in this company, they have 9 lives, so perhaps this loss doesn't hurt Camarado that much going forward. We'll see. I just don't like how they've treated this group since they were on fire. Now, I'm a big Camarado guy. He just looks like an old school guy. He looks like Billy Jack Haynes, like a beast. I mean, they got to push this guy at some point. No ratings as of now. I haven't heard anything. If you know, I apologize. I'm recording this here on Sunday afternoon on June the 6th. The Go Home show did, I think, approximately 500,000, maybe a little bit more. So Friday night is tough in general. Everyone knows that. This show is going to take a hit for a little bit. But hopefully they did a little bit better than 500,000. All right. Last but not least, I've said this many times on this show. If you haven't heard, you're hearing it for the first time. Jim Ross continues to take a paycheck from this company. All right? Continues to take a paycheck. But, Jim, please stop living in the past. We know you love the history of this business, but you can't keep telling us everything about the history and how things aren't done right. Listen, is Jim Ross right? Of course he's right. Everything that is done wrong in this company, some of the things I've mentioned in this 10-minute video, he's right. But you're taking a paycheck from this company, so you can't come out and dump on everything they do. It just doesn't make any sense. His job is to put people over, and that's it. That's it. I mean, he's critical of so many things, and it's just like, why? Don't take the paycheck. Just quit. Walk out. That's it. If you don't like it, don't be there. I'm really surprised that, I mean, look, Tony Khan, whatever, obviously he's a big fan of Jim Ross. He's going to keep him there. But, I mean, if you're a diehard AEW fan, you have to be cringing. Listen to some of the things this man says. Again, he's not wrong, but you can't do that. So, whatever. All right, so listen, I appreciate everybody checking this out. If you like this video, please like, subscribe, and don't forget to check out Morton's Law Podcast on all major platforms. Thank you again, and God bless gay sex.